Ninja Warrior Podcast, episode number 1. Hello everyone and welcome to the Ninja Warrior Podcast. I'm Darren Payne, your host for the podcast, dedicated to helping those interested in trying out for and competing on the TV show American Ninja Warrior. Now, in every podcast, we'll be discussing how to get you better prepared for the competition. You can expect to hear specific obstacle training tips, exercise and fitness advice, interviews with veteran competitors, and other advice from outside experts on a number of related topics. On today's show, we'll be speaking with Jason Huewe, the creator of the Central California Ninja Warrior training course located just outside of Fresno, California. The CCNWTC is one of the largest and well-built private Ninja Warrior training facilities in California. He recently hosted an event that brought nearly 70 competitors to the course to compete, to train and learn together, and of course just have a great time. He'll give us some tips on obstacles about the event itself and some advice for ninjas everywhere. Before we begin, since this is the first episode, I'll give you a quick background on who I am. Like I said, my name is Darren Payne. I first came across the original Japanese version of the show on YouTube back in 2009, and like everyone, I was blown away by how awesome the obstacles were and how much fun they looked. And I thought to myself, I could totally do that. I found out, coincidentally, that about a week later, the American version of the show was coming out, and they're having open tryouts for anyone that wanted to come. So I drove out to LA and got in line with hundreds of other people at 5 in the morning. The course was set up in the back of a Best Buy parking lot, and it was really low budget compared to today's grand version that we see on TV. But it still gave me a taste of the competition. Unfortunately, it was a taste of defeat. I failed on the second obstacle, the rope swing. It was kind of tough to deal with that failure so early on what seemed, or at least what appeared to be such an easy obstacle. But it was a really important lesson that I think anyone considering competing needs to keep in mind. That actually winning the competition is nearly impossible, though it has been done by a few Japanese competitors. No Americans have successfully done all 4 stages yet. The important thing to remember is that defeat and failure, which are almost assured, only serve to act as a learning experience to teach you where you need to focus your training. If you're only focusing on the fact that you didn't win, you're going to have a horrible, horrible time. Instead, focus on the fact that your training has gotten you into really good physical shape, that you had a really good time with the other competitors, made some great friends, have some incredible stories to share, and not to mention that you now legitimately look like a superhero to your kids, your friends, and your family. I should mention that I am operating on a $0 budget here. That's basically just my computer and my iPhone and software that's probably not made for podcasting. So at times we hear the quality go from pretty decent to really crappy, particularly in the phone interview with Jason. It gets a little worse, only because I'm recording from my iPhone the conversation. I will be getting some more professional equipment here shortly, so bear with me as the podcast quality evolves. Let's get on with today's show, and welcome to the first episode of the Ninja Warrior Podcast, Jason Huewe. Jason, welcome.
Hey, thanks, Darren.
You have a really unique perspective on the show and the training involved to compete on American Ninja Warrior, thanks to having such an awesome course in your backyard. Can you share with us a brief background about how you started building the course and how you got involved with Ninja Warrior?
Yeah, absolutely. I got involved was basically I was just sitting on my couch and I saw an advertisement on G4 for open submissions, and I thought, hey, you know what, this would be cool. I've never really done anything for myself. I started a business when I was younger and sort of skipped all the fun kiddie years of my life. So thought Ninja Warrior would be a cool way just to do something fun and for myself. So that's basically how I got myself started. I trained at David Campbell's course, Death Sasuke, right before ANW 2, which was my first season. Mm-hmm. And that got me stoked on some stuff. And basically how the course came to be is originally it was a giant miniature mega ramp that had a 2-story stolen, and it was about half a football field long. And my skateboard years were over, and so was the company that I used to run. And basically it sat around for a couple of years and just got really stoked one season of Ninja Warrior and decided, no, I'm just going to, that ramp's been doing nothing. I'm going to break it down and rebuild it as a training course. And that started back, we're in 2014 now? I think that was 2012. I spent a year of it just by myself, no support or anything, just scrap wood, whatever I got from breaking down the ramp.
Wow.
And then we built I think maybe 7 obstacles. And in 2013 of June or July, we had our first little event. I think we had 7 people, and that's where it all got started. And since we opened up and had our first big seasonal invite, the summer invite, the course has been growing quite rapidly. So that's basically how we got started.
Right. And now that you've put all this time, effort, blood, sweat, and tears into development, what challenges, mistakes, what have you learned from this whole experience?
Nothing that I don't think I've already learned in life. I grew up pretty quick myself, and my mindset is pretty mature from an early age. So I just put my heart and my soul into it. I love building. I love creating things, and I know that's my passion. So I'm applying my passion to Ninja Warrior into this course, and being ADD basically allows me to completely focus on one thing. So it's very easy to obsess over building. So I think since we started rapidly expanding in that July of last year, man, I think I put in nearly 800, nearly 1,000 hours into the course in about 7 or 8 months.
That's really impressive. That's laser-like dedication right there. That's something to be proud of.
A little bit of time.
And I mean, I was blown away when I actually got to the course. I was lucky enough to compete in your event over this past weekend.
Yeah, it was great having you.
Oh, I appreciate it. For those that don't know, it was called the CCNWTC Winter Invite. And in that, there was a competition portion that was called the Quest for Total Victory. I had the best time. Everyone that came was super nice, really fun to hang out with. I think there was, almost 70 people at the competition?
Yeah, including the guests, we had about 75, 78 people altogether, including my parents and myself. There was about 80 people there at the event. There was about 68 ninjas that signed up to be there at the event.
Mm-hmm. Were there any of the ninjas that really stood out in your mind at the competition?
I was really busy, but it was actually, I was focused. One was Stacy Sharp. She was the first and actually only woman to make it past the rolling escargot, which was quite awesome. Rob Ing in stage 2, just taking on the triple flipper challenge in place of, the wall lift. That was quite inspiring. Z, as much as we love her, she had a little accident and she came back after her little visit with the paramedics, and she still continued to train and have fun. There was quite a few beasts as well. Those guys are always recognizable and always have a great time watching. It's just watching everyone and keeping everyone challenged. Even so, it's like the veterans need to be challenged just as much as the newbies. So it's fun seeing how everyone goes about it a different way, and you can see all the different mindsets of people and how they attack and try to solve the problems and all the different types of obstacles that we have there.
Yeah, I remember seeing there was a number of guys that I've seen on TV, clearly veterans, but there was also a bunch of people that were completely new, brand new to the sport. Do you have any advice for any of the listeners, thinking about going into Ninja Warrior, getting in shape for this kind of a competition?
Yeah. Truthfully, there is not one way to train for Ninja Warrior. I want to make that clear. There's a lot of people that say that, well, this is the best way. And truthfully, there is no best way to train for Ninja Warrior. There's a variety of different ways, and each way is going to benefit each person differently. So you want to find a way that works basically best for you and in your training and for your body. Right now, I'm in pretty awesome physical shape. Conditioning is a little bit down right now, but where I'm at physically, I feel like I need to get more hands-on experience and more familiarity with the obstacles. And that's why, one of the reasons why I built this obstacle course, but also I've only spent a couple minutes actually training on it compared to the hours I put into building it.
So you're really in shape mainly just from building the course, not so much training on it.
Yeah, and that I'm in my late 20s, which I just try to figure out. You have your largest testosterone spike in your late 20s, so it's very easy for you to maintain your shape and strength and everything in your late 20s. I've actually gotten stronger in my late 20s and haven't been on any strength program at all, which is almost defying laws of physics. It's pretty crazy.
Yeah.
But tips to everyone is just get moving. Find something out there that inspires you, that gets you motivated, and do that, whether it's rock climbing, parkour, doing gymnastics, finding a strength and conditioning gym, or building your own little backyard obstacles and playing around on those, just as long as you guys are having fun and you're moving and doing something. That's what's really important.
So there's not one aspect that people need to focus on. Do everything and make it fun, basically.
Yeah, especially for beginners, just getting into this, just find something that motivates you, gets you moving. If you find out that you have a weak spot, then go ahead and work on that weak spot. But there's been too many discussions and arguments over what type of methodology is the best way to work out for Ninja Warrior. And truth is, there is no one best way. Because rock climbers are excellent on stages, 3 and 4, but yet they still lack a lot of stage 1 stuff. And so they have a weak point there that they need to work on. Parkourists are really strong in stage 1 and most of the time really strong in stage 2, but they tend to lack in stage 3 in that upper body and grip stuff, so then they tend to focus on those things.
Yeah.
As a beginner, you have never really played on these obstacles before, and you don't really know where your weaknesses are right off the bat. So it's good to play around the obstacles or just start some type of physical fitness if you haven't, and just get out there and start moving. That's the best way just to start working on your physical fitness.
And we've seen on the show, there's been a couple of guys who were wildly out of shape, overweight, and they just said, you know what, I want to do this, and they trained specifically for Ninja Warrior. I can't think of his name, but I saw one guy come on the show who lost like almost 100 pounds, and he did pretty well on the show.
That's awesome.
Yeah. While the sport can seem daunting and crazy for some people, especially that aren't in shape, it is doable. And it's a lot more fun than just going and lifting weights in the gym.
This is true. You got to be a big kid.
Now, I know on the actual Ninja Warrior course, and at your course as well, safety is a big issue. There were pads everywhere. But even if you make the course as safe as you can, injuries still come up. Do you have any advice for people on how to prevent injuries or lessen the occurrence of them?
One is play it safe. If you're on your own home-built course or on someone else's home-built course and you are participating in a tournament, some type of fun game where you guys are reenacting the stages, play it safe. You don't want to injure yourself, so you're there to have fun and learn from the obstacles, right? Going full speed ahead, you can save that for the competition. when they have professional padding that's like over a foot thick, that's the stuff you can tend to really trust in, that you can take a really big blow and won't break anything.
Yeah.
Now, if you're at your home in your buddy's house and they have mattresses or
couch
studio
cushions,
foam padding and couch cushions, like I'm going to admit we have, absolutely. You probably do not want to go full speed ahead. Take your time. Those things are there for your safety, but they're not going to help you that much if you're going balls to the walls on it. Like for us, especially with how big our course is expanding, I think, if I am correct, we are the largest private Ninja Warrior course in the country. Some people I've heard whisper the world, which is sort of the scary title. But basically, we need more pads for all the obstacles we have, so we have to try to adapt and pad up the areas that we see could be problem areas. We've got to be very diligent and thinking forward as to what, these obstacles may do and how people may come off of them so we can protect people the best that we can.
I saw at the event, James McGrath was there, and he had ripped the skin on a couple of his fingers. He banged his finger. I forget how he smashed it, but one of his nails just looked terrible.
And
he
had no clue. It just magically happened.
Yeah. And I've ripped the skin on my hands a number of times just, training on my own. Anyone else that's ever ripped their skin knows how much it sucks. It takes forever to heal up, and you can't train, at your full potential. Is there anything people can do to even, prevent ripping, or is it just goes with
for prevention, and prevention is always going to be your best. You always hear people talking about building up their calluses, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And that is good for the most part. But if you build them up too thick, then they become great little catch pads, and they're really much easier to be ripped off then. Mm-hmm. So you actually have to keep your calluses in check and don't let them get too thick. Mm-hmm. Otherwise, it's going to be a lot easier for them to move the skin around and then start pulling off and ripping. There's a lot of things where you can use a pumice stone, or there's actually a callus cutter where it will actually help shave off and actually cut off the extra callus skin. So those are ways of keeping it in check. Me personally, I do a different route, which not everyone agrees with. Everyone has their own way. But especially after training hard or working hard, I can start to notice the skin peels from my fingers all the time. I rarely get rips these days. But after I wash it, I always rub lotion on it, and I try to soften the skin back up. Because it can harden up, and a lot of people say hard skin is good in building up that stuff. But I like to keep mine soft and get those layers of a little bit of skin that are coming off a little bit by little bit, is I help taking those off. And basically I'm just keeping my skin soft and in check, not keeping it really, really hard, so that way it doesn't create a giant catch pad for cliffhangers or the pull-up bars when I start doing pull-ups on rings or on bars that it starts shoving it around too much. You still want your skin to stay limber.
Now, I saw on, I think it was American Ninja Warrior 2, and that was your first competition, right? Your first participation?
Correct. That was my newbie year.
You went out on the rope swing, which is the second.
Yes, sir.
Well, that was the same one I went out on in Ninja Warrior 1. And the rope swing is actually a lot harder than most people imagine. They probably they just think of Tarzan swinging along with one arm effortlessly, and they don't realize it's just how hard it is. Are there any rope swing tips that people can get right away, or is it just something you just got to practice on?
The problem with that obstacle, which most people didn't know, is if you look carefully from a side view, they actually bring the rope closer to you and farther away from the landing platform. So you have to actually generate a gigantic swing, or what I like to call a pendulum effect, to be able to make it to the other side. So the rope, where they tied it, it wasn't in the middle of the swing. It was closer to you. It was a good 5 feet closer to the person. So that way the end of the rope was actually away from the platform, but really close to where you started. So if you just had a minor jump on your end and let go at the natural peak of the swing, you're still not over to their platform. So you had to get a huge jump or somehow a running start, something like that? Pretty close. With AMW2, the best way, and that's why I have people here practicing my course, yes, I failed on it, so I keep it, is that have people learn how to grab low and throw their weight behind them when they start the swing, because they want to create a really big pendulum effect. So if you think of a clock, or like I said, a pendulum, you want to create your mass as close to the bottom of the rope as possible, and throw it back as far as you can. So if you can jump backwards, and so that way you're swinging up, and then tuck yourself up into a nice little ball, just so your butt is just about a foot above the pad, you're going to generate a much more speed and a higher velocity, which is going to help take you over faster and higher to that other side of the pad. That's a good way to describe it. Yeah, that makes perfect sense. Yeah, so if you just try to jump up, you're not going up as high farther back. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So, and then again, if you just pick up your feet, you're not generating any more momentum. And if you're grabbing up by your head, the point of the pendulum is now a lot higher compared to grabbing down like by your belly button.
Yeah.
Where you're lowering the weight, so it's going to generate more swing.
Mm-hmm. The only thing is you'd have to keep an eye out so that your butt or some other part of you doesn't run into the platform you're jumping off of.
Exactly.
I've seen that a couple times.
Yeah, practice will teach you that. So if you've been on a rope, you stand on a platform, you can usually figure out where you need to grab on the rope or where your hand placement could be,
mm-hmm.
so that your butt doesn't hit the pads or blocks or whatever it is that they have up there.
Yeah. Over the weekend, you had all the competitors vote on most improved ninja and who embodied the Ninja Warrior spirit the most.
Yes.
Who were those people?
The most improved award went to Robert Ng. Tom Hunchman he's a really awesome guy. One of the older Ninja Warriors, but he has a really young attitude. He's probably going to hate me for saying that. You can see him in our photos and videos. He's wearing the white hat, but he's a really cool cat, really cool guy. And unfortunately, I wasn't able to see him train that much. Robert Ng, I think one of the reasons why he got most improved is he made it to stage 2, and he was only one of 3 people that actually passed stage 1 out of 68 people, which is pretty incredible. And then his ending to his stage 2 run was quite inspiring on how much he pushed himself. I think that show of dedication and determination has shown him grown quite a lot, and that's probably the reason why those 2 got him in. We try to do these really cool things for the community, and we base it around the community. All the ninjas stay involved in everything, so it's not one person making the decision, but we want the community to come together and recognize a few people out of there.
Now, who was it that got the Best Spirit of Ninja Warrior award?
That would be Z. I forget her full name. She's quite an awesome lady. She's going to set a little world record for a deadlift, I think, too, coming up here. But Z was really awesome. She tackled the first obstacle, and the obstacle sort of pushed back. She injured herself. We had to bring the ambulance out to take her out. And you know what? She came back with about 15 staples in her.
Wow.
And she was laughing through the whole ordeal. She came back, was cracking jokes still, and saying like, heck no, I came down here to play with you ninjas, to have a great time. Why would I leave you? You know, she was a trooper. She finished off day 1 with the staples, and she came back for the second day and continued to train and to play. And she kept on going. She didn't stop. She had a great attitude. She was always building up others and laughing and just sharing that quality spirit and that happiness that we tend to find in the people that most embody, you know, the Ninja Warrior spirit, that they're always uplifting.
That's a great point and a great example of the Ninja Warrior spirit. I would imagine people that haven't participated view it as, you know, a true competition where it's you versus other people. It's really just you versus the course, and everyone else involved is there to support you. It's such a great community to be a part of. You know, when you do compete, you've got people there ready to help you, cheer you on, and you know, inevitably when you do fail, which pretty much is guaranteed, you know, you've got people there to help you out.
Yeah, exactly. It's a wonderful community, and people that haven't seen it or been a part of it, it's hard for them to understand and to comprehend.
Yeah.
So, no, we're really happy. Z got a special gift. She also got a limited edition koi hoodie as well, and sweatpants to go with it. She actually messaged me the next day, and she said, "Thank you so much. I feel like I'm wrapped up in clouds."
Well, she sure earned it.
Yes, she did.
Did you see from the people that were there, rather the beginners that were at the course, did they have any trouble
The beginners usually tend to have problems on more dynamic type obstacles, basically obstacles that move. So usually the static obstacles, ones that stay where they're at and you have to move around them, tend to be not the hardest ones, but examples like the rolling escargot or a pipe slider, something where the obstacle actually moves with you on it or in it, tends to be much harder for them because they're not used to their body getting thrown around or moving in that type of aspect.
Going from someone that's a beginner to someone who's already really in shape, whether it's just from them working out at the gym or if they're already involved in sports, being in shape doesn't always translate to Ninja Warrior success.
Correct.
What obstacles do these already physically fit people, but inexperienced people, what obstacles do they have a hard time with?
Any coordination type obstacle usually.
So it's not just brute strength. There's a definite technique.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. There's accommodation, or there's so many different things that go into Ninja Warrior, so many different aspects of fitness.
Mm-hmm.
And, it takes a well-rounded athlete to take on this course, and especially if you train in one discipline in one area, you may be exceptionally good at quite a few things, but not another. So,
what comes to mind for me is the salmon ladder as a pretty difficult one because, for one, you need to be in shape to be able to do that. You have to be able to do pull-ups really well, but there's such a technique that you can only learn from doing it. That one comes to mind immediately for me. Is there another obstacle for you that comes to mind?
The warped wall.
Oh, yeah, that's a really good one.
Warped wall is a really good stage one obstacle that if someone has never been on it, can really stump them. That can be tough for a lot of people. Then again, if you're a bull, you're like 7 feet tall and you just have to take a little jump up, it may not be that hard.
Yeah, I think that was the obstacle that I saw people practicing on the most over the weekend, the warped wall.
And we have the most used warped wall, I believe, in the country as well. I sell the design for our warped wall, and we have what we believe about 99% sure is the most accurate redesign and recreation of the show's warped wall. Mm-hmm. Ours is the only 8-foot wide version of our warped wall, but we have about 25 other 4-foot wide versions around the country in people's backyards and facilities as well.
And these are from people that have purchased your designs and built according to your specs?
Yes, that's correct. So you can actually watch a lot of people's videos, and you can see our warped walls in them. And you can always tell because we have a specific DNA look to our warped walls.
And seeing how you have turned this into a business, selling the plans, designs, and instructions on how to build these obstacles, what developments have been going on with the business side of this? Are you seeing more obstacles being purchased, more designs being used?
Quad step and salmon ladder, maybe a warped wall here and there.
Mm-hmm.
Selling the build packages, we don't just sell blueprints. You can find little sketches and stuff online all over the place, but we create a very professional package where we give you professionally designed blueprints, a shopping list and a cut list, and some simple instructions on how to assemble and put it all together. We created these build packages to basically help people around America with excellent design because I didn't want to see kids and adults that don't really know how it's made just sort of scrap pieces of wood together and maybe making an unsafe design that could later collapse or wouldn't be as strong.
Yeah,
so that's where we
warped wall when you're 15 feet up in the air. That's not good when it breaks on you.
Yeah, it wouldn't be fun, I can imagine.
Yeah.
But basically we do that, and we don't keep any of the money. Well, I don't personally. All that money goes back into the course. So we created an idea of creating a recycling effect where we create something quality for the community, and the community just pays a small fee for that, and it goes back into our course, which helps again build up the community again. So everything's all staying within the Ninja Warrior community here with that.
Is there a date set for the next CCNWTC event?
We Do not have an official number date set, but we're keeping with our original schedule, which is our next one would be our summer invite. So it would be late July, more than likely the second to last week of July, we will have the next seasonal invite.
Mm-hmm.
And then after that, it would be the end of October. And
what can people expect for the next event? Are there any new obstacles that you have?
Well, we always have something planned. Building the course is an evolutionary design and experience. So it's not like one thing is planned definite, but it sort of all comes together and evolves as it's being built. So one thing gets built, another thing gets built, and it's like, you know what, actually this will fit better here, and this will change over to here. And the course just morphs on its own to create basically the best flow and best creation and how everything all molds together and goes together. And because of this, we've created probably the most unique training center in the country.
Yeah, I would agree. I've been to Tempest and a couple other places around Southern California, and yeah, your course blew them all away. There's no comparison as far as the Ninja Warrior style obstacles available. People that are interested in participating in the next event, where can they find more information about you and about the course and the event?
They can go to our website. It's CCNWTC. That's short for our full name, which is a darn long name, which is Central California Ninja Warrior Training Course. So we shortened it up to CCNWTC.
Is there anything you want to say to the Ninja Warrior podcast community or any of the competitors from the event over the weekend?
Yeah, want to say thanks to everyone that came out to our Winter Invite and making it a success. It's truly an honor to have everyone come out there and be a part of it and help build the community together. I want to wish everyone luck on ANW 6 this upcoming season. They're already making callbacks right now for the Venice region. So really excited and maybe a little bit of anxiety about that. And just tell everyone to, keep on pushing, following your dreams, stay inspired and inspire others, and train upstream.
Well, Jason, I really appreciate you taking the time to talk to us here. I'm sure everyone really appreciates your insight and your tips on training, and we look forward to seeing you dominate the course this year.
Thanks, man. Hope I get the opportunity.
All right, everyone, that's Jason Huewe. Check out his website, CCNWTC.com. That's the Central California Ninja Warrior Training Center. And be sure to check frequently for details on when the next event is. We hope to see you there. Thanks again, Jason.
Thanks, Aaron.
If you have a business, product, or service that the Ninja Warrior podcast audience would be interested in, please get in touch with me via the contact page of the website. Again, that's at ninjawarriorpodcast.com. I'm offering episode sponsorships in which I'll mention your business or product and give a brief description at no cost. Yes, that's for free. This offer is only available to the first handful of people who reach out to me, so do it now before someone beats you to it. That being said, thank you everyone for listening into the first weekly podcast. I'd love to hear your feedback and ideas for future shows. You can do so through the contact page on the website, on Facebook at Ninja Warrior Podcast, and Twitter at Ninja Warrior Pod. That's Pod. Till next time, I'm Darren Payne, and I hope to see you on the course.